Hi everyone, welcome to Apologue, the platform helping you challenge mediocrity one story at a time. Now, from consulting huge brands like Kit and Ace on their brand and retail strategy to starting her very own sustainable swimwear brand OCIN, which uses 100% regenerated polyesters from plastic bottles safe from landfill, I'm very honored to introduce Courtney here, who is an expert marketer, to share her story and her journey. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So tell me about your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
I am born and raised here. I went to school at UBC and graduated from the marketing program there at Sauder. While I was in school, I also needed to make some money during the holidays and whatnot, and ended up finding myself at one of the retailers here in Vancouver, Aritzia. I worked there for 4.5, 5 years. And that kind of started my trajectory and my path into this retail and fashion space that I have been in now for about 12 years. And then from there, I moved into a more marketing role once I graduated from UBC. I took on a brand and marketing position at Wings and Horns, which is a men's contemporary lifestyle brand here out of Vancouver. Was there for 4 years, and just that's where I really started to see not only the retail side from Aritzia, but also the wholesale side, and more about menswear and more about what it really means to work with and start a smaller operation and kind of help build it. And so that was like a big learning opportunity for me. A lot of roller coaster up and down, but it was an amazing experience just being able to be like a new graduate and really take ownership of building a brand. So I was there for about 4 years, and then I moved on to work at Kit and Ace, which was just starting at the time. That was another, I would say, crazy experience of where I got like 10 years of experience condensed into 3 essentially. So I got to see a brand that was purely a startup from 7 people. I was one of 7 working at the back of our small little gas town space at the time, and then saw it grow to a 300-person head office business essentially. That experience was what really taught me and showed me that you can really, like, with the right team and the right experience and the right focus on a singular vision, like, you can really make a lot of cool things happen. So after that, I was consulting for about 1.5 years, and then I decided to start my own venture in January. I had been building this business plan for like 4 years, so it was always in the back of my brain for a long time. I always knew when I first started my first job at Aritzia that I wanted to eventually work for myself, but I just didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know how my fashion retail experience would tie into what I want to do. And I think that every single step of my career and all the experiences and all the people that I got to meet, and every job and responsibility that I had really set me up for being like, yeah, this is now what I want to do. This is what I want the brand to shape up to be. And so I launched OCIN. I'm dedicated full time to it in January, and then launched OCIN at the end of August of this year. So still very brand new, but now I'm kind of on that path there.
And because I know a lot of people, especially in like my generation, where entrepreneurship is like the new thing, right? Everyone wants to, I want to start my own business right off the bat. But it seems like in your journey, you sort of equip yourself with different skills and different tools before you actually went ahead and started. But it was always in the back of your mind. So would you recommend that, people like me, get some experience first and then start, or should we just dive like straight in? What do you think?
I think we're living in such an interesting time. I think that compared to when I started school, there's a lot more resources and a lot more tools at our fingertips now for people to want to start their own business right away. And you see it, you see success stories every day. Everything on social media, you see even influencers, for an example, is an interesting way of entrepreneurship or freelancing or consulting, right? We see this huge burst of influencers and people that are just being themselves and doing what they're doing and making money and making a living off of it. I think, though, that whether or not you decide to jump into entrepreneurship right away, and whether you think that you can, or whether you kind of take the longer route, I always think that there's going to be a lot more value for you if you really, it's almost like prepping for an interview, like doing the research, right? If you set yourself up with the right tools and the experience, I think that long term, your plan might go a little bit further. I feel that there's always lessons to be learned in every single step of your journey. And if you kind of jump from one end right away to like starting your own business, I feel like you're missing so much, especially when you're so young. Like you're missing so much opportunity. You're missing so much of your ability to connect with another network or connect with your community or meet new people in this industry. Not to say that you can't do that when you start your business right away, but I feel like there's a lot more value you can take from those experiences and those touch points if you put yourself through that. I think especially in today's age, we want things to happen fast and we want things to be easy and quick and convenient. And I just don't know if that's like the best thing for the long run, right? You think about, even now, like I still think about it too, right? I'm an entrepreneur starting my own business. I'm 30 years old and I have still so much life to live. And I have to be confident in the fact that, you know, maybe this venture might not work out, maybe it'll fail, but like what is my next step? And do I have something like a plan B to like back up on, right? If I didn't have my experience, if I didn't build my network over 12 years, I may or may not have had a plan B, right? So I think it's just important to think about those things. I know that when you're young, you're excited and you want to like get things done fast, but we forget about, I think taking risk is great, but also make sure that you're taking smart risks. Yeah.
And as you said, yeah, people like me, like we're super excited. Yeah, we're gonna start our own thing. And I think a lot of the videos we see online too is like, yeah, don't work for anyone. Like you be your own boss, right? Which is, it's good to have in the back of your mind, right? But I mean, in terms of, you know, staying humble, like humility and stuff.
I think too, like, I don't know, if you don't have the opportunity to work for someone or work for a team, like you lose all of those experiences of maybe you gain an amazing mentor from that. Maybe you get the ability to, you know, at Kit and Ace, I was like directly working with like the CEO and all the brand directors and the C-level management and people that have had that experience for so long and have really grinded hard to get to where they are, and you can pick their brain, right? If you don't have that experience, you're missing out on so much of that. And then you also don't get to learn what you don't like and what you do like, right? If you're, you know, being an entrepreneur or starting your own business can be lonely sometimes, right? But if you don't have a team to kind of collaborate with or pick ideas from or see what works and what doesn't work, you know, you can use someone else's finances and budgets and plans to try versus, you know, when you start your own business, it's a lot of capital, it's a lot of investment on your own. And so unless you get like investors or whatnot, but why not just try getting the experience, building your repertoire on someone else's dime and learning from that too, and then applying it to making sure that whatever venture you're doing on your own is really set up the best way that it can be, right? Because if you believe in something, and if that's really what you want to do, you want to make sure that you're giving it the right opportunity, right? So, I don't know. There's so much that goes around on all that, but I kind of feel that the more that you can invest in your it's like going to school, right? The more that you'll take away from it all, so.
And you touched a little bit on mentorship, right? On mentors, and I'm sure you have a ton of mentors that kind of guide you along the way in your journey. So who would you say, you know, had the biggest impact in your life and in your journey?
For me, I think that every single part of my career, I had someone that I could look up to and could help me guide me along that way. And I think a lot of the times that actually ended up being my peers and my community and my network around me. So I think I just get really inspired by what I see other people doing, and I get really inspired by you know, when you see like one of your best friends is starting a really cool company, it kind of keeps you on that motivation, I guess, to like keep going on, right? And I think, I kind of touched on it before about like team. I don't think anyone can really get anywhere without their team, and whether that's one mentor or not, I think we all have something to learn from one another. I also think that UBC, and definitely starting as like a young student, marketing student, really getting involved in like the clubs, whether that was just the CUS clubs or even the arts clubs too, just like using your time at school and university to start building this network, start building your community, start doing what, like even what you're doing here is like reaching out to people in the industry and people that you think that would be beneficial to learn from. Like start doing that right away. And I think that's where you also start to learn how each of these conversations that you have with someone can actually impact your journey, can have some influence on what you are thinking about or what you want to do next.
Definitely building community is very important. I think a lot of people feel like when they're trying to work hard, when they're trying to achieve like great things, they're trying to do it by themselves. Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep like hide myself in my room and just bang it out. But I mean, if you want to go far, you gotta go with people, right?
Totally.
So yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of successes along the way, right? You've consulted for big brands, you're starting your own swimwear brand right now. So what does success mean to you? Like say you're on the beach, when you're 50, 60 years old.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I love the beach, obviously, and the oceans, clearly. But I think, I don't know, success is a very funny word for me. I think we define success as something that is like almost a measurement, right? It's like across the board, everyone's like, what is success to you? Like, is it money? Is it I don't know, fame? Is it knowledge? Whatever it ends up being. I think that we often use success as like a comparative thing. So am I successful as the person beside me? Am I as successful as, I don't know, another entrepreneur that's in the same industry as I am? Am I as successful as where I thought that I would be at this time? Which I think when we use it in that sense, it's kind of hindering for ourselves. So I kind of like to think of success more as a mix of a bunch of things, including like growth and development. So am I growing and developing and learning every day? I think success is also a lot about fulfillment. Am I purely happy and passionate about what I'm doing every day and waking up doing every day? You spend so much of your time at work, whatever it is, right? And if you're not happy and if you're not really dedicated to what work you're doing, it's just something to think about, right? And I think it's being fulfilled in a way where maybe you can integrate your personal values into your work or your work's purpose or whatnot. I think it's just being able to slowly tie all of the pieces together, things that you believe in, things that make you happy, things that you're passionate about, what you want to contribute back to the world or your community or whatnot. I think that to me is like success, and along the way, growing every year or every day or whatnot, and growing with the people around you. Kind of again touching on the point of the team. I don't think you can be successful on your own. I think success is attributed to the people in your community around you, and if you're a manager, if you're a business owner, like the team that helps you get there, that's successful. And so if they're happy and if they're passionate, if they're committed, that's the domino effect of where success will continue to me, success will continue to expand.
On that journey to success, I'm sure there's a lot of high points and low points. I'm sure you've experienced a lot of that as well. So would you be willing to share, maybe your proudest moment as of now, and maybe your like a lowest point where you're like, and I'm sure you learned the most from those low points, right?
I'm definitely proud of launching OCIN. I think that was like a big thing for me anyways, just seeing that, writing something out 4 years ago, pen to paper, and then slowly starting to build the steps. And I have no idea. I've never started a business before. I don't know exactly the formula for making a business, but I think just really trying hard, researching, and then seeing something like words on paper turn into a product and a website and a brand that I'm building has been really cool. Lowest point might have been, I think there was a time during my last part of the year at Kit and Ace where it was a very, what's the word? It's a very like go environment. It's like we were growing so fast. Like we grew exponentially fast, and probably the fastest that any other company has ever grown in the retail space, particularly in 3 years. And so with that, I think I forgot a lot about where my personal value was and taking care of myself. I've always been one to be like, oh, like you need to take care of yourself in order to take care of those around you. Especially being a manager, you need to make sure that you're understanding of where you stand so that you can support and empower your team. And I think at the end of it, it was just, there was so much going on, and I was working pretty much 24 hours a day. I had 2 cell phones, like one for my personal, one for my work, but ended up carrying 2 with me every day, answering emails at 2 a.m. just because I could. Not that it was like something, an expectation of me, but it was more just, I guess, an expectation I put on myself of like, this is my role, this is what I need to do. And I think along the way, I just forgot to take care of myself. And so I think that that's an important thing to remember is when you're chasing your dreams and when you're pursuing what you're doing, you still need to take the moments to like step back a bit and to like look back on, reflect on things that you've done, and literally take a pause, take a breather, because the more that you're always on go, in the end, it'll eventually come up to you and catch up to you. And so I ended up having like crazy insomnia and anxiety and like a lot of like personal health things that I think could have been a little bit avoided if I had just taken the time to pause. But from that, you just grow, you learn. And I learned now like how, especially starting a business, you're always working. There isn't a time when you're not thinking about work or what the next step of work is. But I think that point really helped me to remind myself like, okay, weekends, take weekends, like really try it. Like evenings, shut off, like don't use your computer. And so being actively aware of those things. So.
Yeah, it's actually a super good point. My sister actually had an anxiety attack like a week ago. Like she thought it was a heart attack, or like she just couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And when she went to the doctors, it was because of stress. And I think a lot of people in that sort of that hustle mode, right? They just forget to take a moment to sort of appreciate the things and even the people around them, right? They're so like narrow, so focused, right? But yeah, that's a super good point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll come to the section where we take a deeper dive into the day in the life of an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So this is where we sort of try to understand, what you do on a day-to-day, right? Because it's very, people don't know that, right? There's stuff you see on job postings. Okay, well, clearly there isn't a job posting for an entrepreneur, but yeah, so what do you do on a day-to-day? What's the day in the life of Courtney?
It's super, I don't know, on a whim. Pretty much. I try to, just because I know how I best work, I like to structure my days. So I try to plan things out and meetings in advance so that I know and have an idea of what my days are going to look like or what my week's going to look like. I think if I just kind of like took it as every day came, it would be very overwhelming and super, like way more stressful than it needed to be. So, but I guess for me, for OCIN particularly, I'm doing everything. So it's just me right now. I have the opportunity to work with some freelancers and consultants when I need them on that time, but right now it's pretty much just me. So days can be from, at the beginning stages, it was planning out, like writing out the vision, the mission, the values, my entire business plan, writing out my budgets for the next 3 years and my projections, really like taking the time to build that back end of the company. A lot of it at the beginning also was like researching, right? Like figuring out, okay, where do I want my product to be made? Where can I get my production? Where are my fabrics coming from? What does the designs look like? Everything, all of that, right? There's like the design process, production process, and that in itself has so many steps and layers, sourcing, development, fitting, taking photos and going to the brand side of like creative. So what does a visual look like? So that's all like kind of, I guess, in the beginning stages. And now my day to day is a lot of emailing and a lot of scheduling and a lot of relationship building with retailers that I want to be a part of, or other brands that I want to collaborate with and do pop-ups with. I'm a big kind of like believer in community and experiences, especially in today's day and age. I think we need that like face-to-face interaction to really be able to connect with the people that are investing in our brand. So doing a lot of pop-ups or experiences or events in other cities, not just in Vancouver, is something that I'm trying to work on over the next year or so. Shipping orders out, like literally packing them, shipping them, writing the commercial invoices. Yeah, it's everything from like the tedious work to like the big picture thinking and the really fun things like photo shoots and casting and all that kind of stuff. Even like graphic designing and content creation, so I do all that as well. I have an intern right now who's awesome, and she's helping me with a lot of like the writing and content creation, but just organizing that, scheduling that in, reaching out to these people that we want to interview and talk to and feature, and then writing all the articles for our magazine and whatnot. So, and social media, like every day is crazy. So yeah, it's just all varies day to day, but that's kind of a gist, I guess. Yeah.
What's the best part and the worst part, or like the most of like your day-to-day?
The day to day. I don't know. The best part, I just learn every day. Like nothing is I'm just having so much fun. Like I think this is what I meant to be doing, and I really believe in the brand, and I'm very passionate about what I want the brand to stand for and extend into something bigger than just a retail brand. Like I don't want it to be just a swim brand. I want it to be a lifestyle that our community and our collective can really contribute to in more than just purchasing a swimsuit. I want to expand the categories. I want to do a lot more events and a lot more experiences. So yeah, just the fact that I have the ability and the freedom to really be creative and do whatever I want to do every single day to like move the company forward. I think it can get pretty lonely sometimes too. I'm just so used to working with people all the time. Like I'm used to having my own team, and I love managing people, and I love helping people find out what their path is, and giving them opportunities to like pursue that. And then also just being surrounded by like super creative, talented people every day, I think keeps you just like jazzed, right? And so when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of it is just you, yourself, keeping you motivated. And as much as that's awesome, there's also some limitations to that. Sometimes you just wake up and you're not really motivated, right? And so that's probably one of the harder things I think about being an entrepreneur. Yeah,
I think a lot of people who want to be an entrepreneur, they have this idea, maybe a really great idea in their minds. And someone like you who had 4 years to sort of plan it out. Like, can you sort of summarize the process of taking an idea and sort of planning it all the way to launch?
I think so. I was building the business plan on the side, so I guess that also is why it took so long, is because I would write something down and I would leave it for like months, and then I would go back to it and be like, oh, like let's add a little bit more to this. I don't think it's really hard to set a real formula for all this, but I think you need to be very, very clear on your vision, your mission, like what is your purpose as a brand. I think that in order for a brand to be long lasting, you need to be bigger than yourself. You can't just say, I have an awesome product and I'm gonna sell it. It's just not gonna work for you. So I think you really need to have something of substance, like what is your why? Like why are you doing this? What is this brand gonna offer to the world? Not just your industry, not just to your consumer, but like what is the bigger purpose? I think you really need to know your demographic. Like you need to be so spot on who your brand is for and why it will add value to their lives. I think you need to do research so much about the industry that you're going into, about the product that you're building, if you're building a product or a service. ask questions to people, like get focus groups together, just be prepared, like do your research, and find out the answers to things that you didn't even think that you needed the answers for, because something will come up every single day and you're like, oh shoot, like I didn't plan for that, or I didn't know about that. And you're not going to know everything, but the more that you can start talking to people that are doing what you want to be doing, you can again learn from their learnings, right? Be creative, be flexible, and ask for help when you need it. Like there's so many people that are way more willing to help you than I think people think. I think collaboration is huge. I think there's enough of a pie to go around for everyone, and I think the more that you can kind of band together in numbers, the more that you can actually see benefits to everyone involved. But yeah, I guess there isn't really like a set formula. I would just say you just have to work hard. That's why I think experience is so awesome and important and crucial, because I really don't think I would have had the confidence to start my brand now if I didn't have like all of the steps and experiences that I did in the past. And if I didn't think that I had the network and the community to really support me in that.
So to summarize, I think it's business plan. You touched a lot about business plan. I think
definitely.
a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
I know I didn't.
It's very important.
Yeah, I know I didn't. Like when I started Apologue, I didn't write a lot of things down. I had it in my head though, like the vision, the mission, like my demographic, but I never wrote it down. And it wasn't until the low point where I'm just like, why am I doing this? Or like, who is this for? That I didn't have anywhere to kind of go back to and kind of refer to. So I've since wrote things down.
That's good. It helps you focus.
Exactly.
Like remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. And as your business sort of evolves over time, like you kind of have to like, this is my vision, right?
Exactly.
Is it still following that vision? So super important. And you also touch a lot on community and teamwork. I can see your passion for community. I think that's super important too. I'm really into building relationships. I really love it. And honestly, even if you're successful but you're alone, like there's no point, right? And then you speak a lot about personal growth, right? Continue to learn, and I think that's super important. A lot of people, especially when they graduate from university, right, when they're in the working world, they just stop trying to learn, trying to grow as a person. So I'm sure you read a ton of books, right? You have a lot of resources. So are there any key books or resources that you would recommend that people read?
Okay, I have a couple. From Good to Great was a book that we read actually at my last full job at Courtney's. It was great. And I think there's a podcast, what's it called? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on it. How I Built This, great podcast. I really, really love the brand that Yves Chouinard from Patagonia has built. And so his book, Let My People Go Surfing, was really a really cool book, starting up as an entrepreneur, building a brand of purpose that I really wanted to build. His book was great at like laying out the fundamentals that helped him build his brand to where he's at now. Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog, also really good. I think just learning from, like pick some key entrepreneurs or people that you think are super influential in your life or can be, and buy their book. Like learn from them, read what they do, whether it's Steve Jobs and his Apple book, or learning from Starbucks or whatever. Like find what speaks to you and just read those. Those are ones that spoke to me based on what I was building my brand on, like fashion, retail, sustainability, and purpose. So that really just helped me. But yeah, take any opportunity you can to find the podcasts or the books that will speak to you, and then ask other people around. Just like people always have book suggestions too.
Are you planning to write a book soon?
No.
Okay. Because I will read your book. I find it super
sweet.
Inspirational. But
thank you.
Yeah. So just to close, are there any general advice, just to wrap up, any general advice for people who are in university, who want to go, say, into e-commerce or into entrepreneurship? Any final thoughts?
Work hard. Like nothing comes easy, and there's no job that you're too big for. Even me, again, like I mentioned, like I do everything, and I think if you haven't had the experience of putting yourself on like the bottom level and working your way up, those jobs might not come as something that you want to take on. And I think it's important to like put yourself in those situations and do it, because that's where you'll start to learn from yourself as well. So work hard, see challenges and obstacles in a new light. So if something doesn't work out, take initiative, figure it out, shift your perspective, and keep going forward. Like, don't let that stop you. If something doesn't turn out your way, be like, okay, great, didn't work out, so now what, right? Don't just get stuck in the fact that, oh my gosh, this didn't work the way I wanted it to work, because you're never gonna move forward. Yeah. Learn from everyone around you, learn every day, stay curious, be creative in your thinking, and be like nice and be kind and be respectful to one another, because honestly, like, you can't really get anywhere far just on your own. Yeah. And the more that you're put out this energy where people are more positive, the more that you'll see people being attracted to you, the more like-minded people will come together, more people will support you, and you'll just have more fun. Like, you want your day-to-day to be fun, and you want to be happy as much as you can, so why not be nice and contribute to like a nicer world? Work hard, be kind, stay humble, like be hungry, keep working forward and constantly learning, and and you'll get far.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for sharing all your insights and your journey. I think we all learned a lot. I know I learned a lot, especially me starting Apologue.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so thank you for watching this episode of Apologue. My name is James Lau. This is a platform helping you better identify your career goals, as well as to dream bigger and to really challenge mediocrity. So this is Courtney once again. Thanks. Make sure you check out her brand, show her all her support that she needs. All her links will be in the description below. So thank you. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.